All right, welcome to another edition of Anchors Aweigh. I'm here with City Manager Charlie Van Zant. He's our new city manager. He's been in the job a little over a month now, and so I wanted to bring him on just to talk to him, have a little conversation with him, and see so you guys can get to know him and see what his vision for the city is. Welcome, Charlie.
Thank you, Jason. Glad to be here.
All right. So first thing is, tell us a little bit about yourself. I know you come from basically a public service type background.
Yes. So my joke is that since there was no Boy Scout troop in Keystone Heights where I grew up, that I had to join the National Guard at 12 years old. Really, I didn't join till 18, but public service was something that my family just did growing up. When I was a teenager in high school, I was a student body president, but I also served as the superintendent of schools, student advisor in a smaller county. Had about 18,000 students in 1987, the year I entered my senior year. And later I ended up teaching, serving as a school board member, serving as a school superintendent there. All totaled about 20 years in Clay County, Florida school system. 33 in the Florida Army National Guard. Wow. Intended to be a part-time, go to drill one weekend a month type guy. September 11th, 2001 changed everything for lots of us. Yeah. Multiple deployments to the desert, any place that you wouldn't want to spend the night. Kuwait, Iraq, Afghanistan, I have. Don't want to go to any of the foreign countries I've really been to before again. Except with Germany. I did get a 1 week stop in Germany somewhere in the middle of the Operation Iraqi Freedom Tour, and that was kind of cool.
Got a nice little stay.
Nice little stay for a week. But there to do flight simulator training because the Army was crashing a lot of helicopters at the time. Mm-hmm. But that's kind of the long and the short of it. I've lived in Keystone Heights on and off since I was 10 years old, and I'm coming up on 55 this Thanksgiving. So this was a major pull-up stakes and move to come down to Treasure Island for us.
And your father also did public service, am I correct?
He did.
So you're used to this.
During my deployments and absences as a Clay County School Board member, both my wife and my father at different times were appointed by the governor to serve as a school board member while I was in the Middle East. My dad had been a minister and architect bivocational for years and years. In fact, I was born in Clearwater, Morton Plant Hospital. He was practicing architecture, working with Bob Martinez when Bob Martinez was the mayor of Tampa in the late 60s, and then felt called into the ministry. And so both of us have always been very involved in the community, and city council, school board meetings, county commission meetings are all things I grew up attending and then ended up serving in various capacities later.
And now with all this from the Army, and now you had the school board, and then you were served a little bit as a city manager. What kind of leadership does that bring for you to bring here to Treasure Island? As you know, I think just researching some of you in the past city you're at, they had some of the same problems with some turnover, and they had some problems with projects not necessarily getting done. There's some things that Treasure Island needs to get moving. So what are some of the leadership skills you're bringing to here?
So if you look at my master's degree, it says organizational leadership. When I evaluate myself and look back on the way I've studied things, the way I generally feel about things, I call it servant leadership. My first job making minimum wage when it was $3.35 an hour in Florida was to be the janitor at a church.
Oh, wow.
So I'm not above picking up the trash, picking up a mop handle. Did it this weekend at a wedding for some friends of mine's children. The garbage bag was leaking, so Charlie was mopping the floor after the reception.
Nice.
That's just who I am. Mm-hmm. If I have to get up at 2 a.m. and stand watch for 2 hours and guard the rest of my people, I do that. When I got to be a more senior officer in the military, I'd get up in the middle of the night and go take them a sandwich and a thermos of coffee. People don't know that it freezes in the desert, but it does.
It does, yes.
I remember flying not birthday cake, Thanksgiving dinner. Thanksgiving's my birthday, but Thanksgiving dinner to some forward deployed troops in Kuwait back when Saddam Hussein was still in charge of that whole theater.
Oh, wow.
So none of us should be above anything.
Exactly.
My deputy superintendents in Clay County figured that out when we had some deaths at a local high school. Some children took their own lives, And I said, we're going to go serve these people. And they didn't really know what that meant because they were used to the principals and assistant superintendents all running to the front of the line to fill their own plate. I said, no, 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 no. We're standing back here behind the tables and we're dishing up the food for these teachers and secretaries and bus drivers and those kind of people. And that it's just a mind shift.
Yeah.
If you haven't done it, it's just the way I always have believed it should happen.
And it makes you a better leader, because I know me just growing up, just the different jobs I had from Walmart to Pizza Hut. And then when I became a television reporter, I did many jobs behind the scene to make you better on-air product. And you did many things behind the scenes to make you a better leader that's led you now into a city manager position.
Yeah, and just for clarification, I want the citizens of Treasure Island to think they hired an accomplished janitor. I have a couple college degrees. I've been trained in both Black Hawk and Apache helicopters. Served at some higher ranks in the military. But you never can forget that 19-year-old crew chief on that Black Hawk manning the door gun. He's got valuable information too. He's got a perspective that might save everybody's life. So you need to listen to everybody at every level.
Exactly. And so now you're coming here to Treasure Island. You're coming at a very interesting time. We just went through 2 storms, and of course, back in 2024, city's still rebuilding, still a lot of issues, a lot of uncomfortableness around the city just about how we're moving forward, how we're going to move forward with different issues that are facing us right now, from public safety building to, sanitation to everything else. So did that not kind of make you step back and say, hey, wait a minute, I maybe don't want to step into something like this? Or was that a challenge you saw coming in and you were like, I know I can do this and I can get things?
That, after a lot of prayerful consideration, is really what led me to come. I'm very comfortably situated in Southwest Clay County, Florida, on a lake. For a year and a half, I was a totally retired lieutenant colonel. That's not a bad living.
No.
My wife, I met in the School of Architecture at University of Florida. She actually graduated from that college with a couple of master's degrees and makes a good living, and we were fine. And the city of Keystone Heights, my hometown, called me out of retirement when their old city manager quit a little over a year and a half ago, and I'd never considered being a city manager. Treasure Island, I don't think I'd ever remembered being here after I toured it, probably mid to late June over a weekend. I remembered the Bubba Gumps. I can't honestly say if I stayed in Treasure Island or stayed in Madeira Beach, but I do remember eating at that Bubba Gumps. So I had been here before, but I couldn't have put it to you on a map, cold. And as I looked around, the Airbnb we stayed in that weekend on the south side of John's Pass had just reopened, just been remodeled. And Saturday afternoon, the water leaked through the ceiling and they actually had to move us. My wife, with all her architectural background, we drove around. We see all these houses up on I-beams with wood cribbing underneath them. And I told her, I said, honey, I've been praying about this, and we prayed together about it. I said, I feel like I should come down. I think we could help these people rebuild. They need to rebuild. And at that time, I just was looking at this as an area that had been hit hard by a couple of hurricanes and had some significant sustained damage. As I've been here and had multiple meetings with our 5 county commissioners that brought me here, some of the key constituents and citizens, talking to the staff, very few of the senior staff have been here very long at all, I'm realizing that maybe there was some spending that really wasn't representative of the way I would lead money to be spent. Some infrastructure projects that weren't real hardened infrastructure, weren't about keeping stormwater out or draining and wastewater flowing properly. So there were a multitude of issues before the storms. There's a lot of work to be done, and government is not the most efficient mode to do anything. I work in government. It takes 2 public readings to adopt a budget, to adopt an ordinance. So the change can't be rapid. This isn't flying medevac missions. This isn't flying close air support missions where everything's pre-flighted and I can touch a few buttons and be in the air in 5 minutes. This is not that.
But that's like how government's designed to
Yeah.
slow things down,
Yeah.
correct? But sometimes it's a little too slow.
Yes, it's very much too slow often. But the 56 founders that signed the Declaration of Independence, they designed the legislative branch of government to move slowly, to be able to talk things out. When you're trying to rebuild from a storm and you don't yet have your building permit for your home and you're trying to do it the right way, government and the direction we're moving the city of Treasure Island should be the Department of Yes. We want public health and safety.
Mm-hmm.
You know, everybody has the right to walk into the ice cream shop or the tourist shop here and expect that their kids and grandkids aren't going to touch a hot wall outlet or have black mold in the walls. But it doesn't need to be so inefficient that it takes months and months to rebuild your home or your business. So again, that's a shift. We have to plant our foot. We have to shift left or right on a lot of these issues. We are moving those directions. It'll take a little time to put it all together. And I'm really trying to redesign in my head what Treasure Island should look like in 5 or 10 years from now before we stick shovels in the ground on any more city projects, to make sure that we have some kind of sustained, safe, logical, planned out way. So
And what
there's
do
a lot
you
of
see?
balancing to do.
Well, what do you see that in 5 to 10 years? Do you see the development finally coming to Treasure Island? Because
I
Treasure
do.
Island hasn't had development for,
I
let's
do.
be honest, for a while.
I think this island has a lot of area that could be developed. I think we have room for more people. More people take up more space. There's all kinds of questions, and this will all come. This is the slower part. It will come to the city commission for debate, whether we go any higher on buildings as we increase density of people. Will that be on, barren, fresh land? There's not a ton of it here, but there is some.
Yeah.
There's a lot of lots, a lot of homes that could potentially just be torn down that people have abandoned. So there is room for growth here on Treasure Island. And as we look at a new public safety building, and if that houses fire or fire and police, all those are considerations on how we move forward.
Yeah. And so what do you want people to know who've seen you or don't know you? Because there's a lot of people that are still not in their homes here in Treasure Island.
Sure.
So they may not even know your name yet. And there's a lot of people that, just living their lives. They don't even really pay attention to their local government. They'll pay attention to the national government, but they really don't pay a lot of attention to their local government. What is the one thing you want them to know as you come in here? You've been here a little over a month. You want them to know about you and what you want to do for the city.
I want the city government to walk alongside citizens and business owners and become the Department of Yes. Sometimes it's going to be yes with a caveat, but we have to also consider this. But I don't want them, if they've not been successful in past years, pulling permits, getting buildings inspected, think that we have some arduous ordinances. I'm willing to listen and work on those things, but I also have to be clear. I think leaders can afford to be wrong every once in a while, but we need to be clear. And as we gather more facts, we can have more correct opinions to offer. But I work for 5 city commissioners. I'm an appointed official. I'm not an elected official.
Sure.
I don't work directly for the citizens. I hope to serve the citizens and the business owners, but I do that through a 5-member elected panel. So these folks have some tough jobs. They have to run for office every 2 years. They throw around a statistic, only 1% of current Americans have ever served in the military. I would say a fraction of a percent have ever served in local elected office. And they don't get paid a lot of money. They have to take the brunt of a lot of people's frustration. That's heightened after storms. So as they give me a little grace and a little patience, I will extend it to the citizens. And that's kind of how that relationship works. I want to let citizens and business owners know that, just because we've always done it that way does not mean that's the way the city's going to continue to do things. What I can do from my level for the citizens and business owners, they can count on my cooperation.
And and relaying that to people is we have to be a little patient. Like, it takes time to get things done. It takes time to make decisions, as we just spoke earlier in the government. But that you're already starting. I've already seen you. You're already starting in the community development department. I know you brought someone in to kind of look at how
Yep.
the process is working in that department. So you've already began putting your touch on the city and trying to get things going. So after a little over a month being here, what do you see so far? Or are you still just learning and getting your feet wet?
I'm learning a lot, but I am seeing areas that could be unclogged a little bit. I think it'll take another 60 to 90 days for just the processes and ordinances in our own community development department, CDD, to be smoothed out. But I think applying for a permit this November or December should be less complicated than it is right now. We've also had some staffing issues there. Everybody, first thing I heard, even before I became city manager, was the flood plains review was the big sticking point in the building department. Well, guess what? The city didn't have a floodplains reviewer job description. It didn't have someone solely focused on that. So I appreciate my city commissioners voting 2 weeks ago to allow me to just hire a floodplains manager. I mean, I'm not sure they even realized that.
How important it is.
Yeah. And give a little grace to the commissioners. 3 of them were elected this past March and have been serving since April. So 60% of my bosses have collectively 1 year of experience in their role. Now, they're smart people. They run their own businesses, do a lot of things, but that doesn't mean that you automatically know how to run a city government your first couple of months getting started.
And so you see just to wrap this up, because what do you just see the future of Treasure Island, basically?
I think the future is bright. I think this can be the vacation destination. I want this city, Treasure Island, to be the place people want to come. I want them to be able to vacation here. I want them to be able to walk around the evening and have some activities for the adults and the children, and nice restaurants and shops. I'd like them all to come spend a week or two or snowbird down here for a few months out of the northern part of the United States, or vacation here from Europe or wherever they're from, and have an enjoyable experience. And I'm looking for ways to pay for some of the services that the city provides that don't go on the backs of the ad valorem taxpayers, the actual property owners. So if there does need to be additional income, I'd like to find a way that happens gleefully by people coming to vacation and spend time and money here.
Yeah. Anything else you want to add?
No, I'm really happy to be here. I'm enjoying myself. My wife's moving us into an apartment nearby that overlooks the canal. It's beautiful, or maybe it's a condo. I don't know what the difference is, honestly. Haven't lived in any condo apartment slash place in this century. But we're enjoying it. Our family's been down a little bit to look around, and I'm happy to be here and happy to serve, and I appreciate the opportunity to speak to the public.
You know, you keeping that house on the lake though? Yes,
yes,
of course.
Yeah, the house on the lake in Keystone Heights is definitely going to be a keeper.
Nice. All right. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you.